first section is going to be on creating a spare player within the block without the opposition matching up. So if we take the Manchester United side here and take the exterior and basically say, right, this is their exterior of their block. How many players do they have inside it? 1, 2, 3. That's how many players they've got on the interior at the moment of this block. Now, at this moment we've also got 1, 2, 3. That's how are we going to use a player from the exterior to try and do this without bringing another player in. So the messy way of doing things, Barcelona, was very much to bring in a false 9 in here, creating a 4. But as you can see, it wouldn't be a stretch because there's no pressure on this back line with which for a fourth player to go in and match up. You may create an opening from doing this, but you can see in this position we perhaps don't have positional superiority with which to exploit that opening and that gap. So how can we create Aguero free without giving Bailly the opportunity to step in the line? So what you might find in this situation is more moving towards this kind of situation where these might push on just a little bit higher. Okay, and now what you've got is a scenario whereby if this player now steps, you've got players here that are at the ready, and if this player then goes with and comes into the exterior, you're going to create a free player in here, and if this player comes back, you're going to create potential for a free player in these kind of pockets of areas in here. So no matter what, now we're going to be able to create through positional superiority a spare player within the interior of the block. We just need to work out what will the opposition do and adjust in order for us to find out where our spare player will be. And this principle can be applied with any of the exterior players really. It doesn't have to be a striker coming into a false 9 position. We could see perhaps 2 holding midfielders, okay, and then going into a 4-man midfield like so. And again, what you would give is this player a problem, you would then potentially push these players on. You may even go into a back 3, so it essentially becomes more of a 3-4-2-1 system within this shape. That then gives these players difficulty in pressing because they've got these players in behind them. But what it does is it creates 2v1 on the fullbacks on both sides, or creates 4 versus 3 in midfield, depending if you keep this player in. Okay, you create that 4 versus 3, and if any of these players step, there's always this potential in here. This player comes and presses and engages in here, goes in there. This player comes and steps and presses in here, you've got that situation there. Now with Man City, they like to keep these players a lot more higher and wider. They provide the width, but they've also got the 1v1 qualitative superior to dribble and cross, or create something out of nothing. You'll see that the sort of more famous one this year or the last couple of seasons has been these players coming in here. That allows these players to play higher up essentially, in these little pockets, half space pockets. And again, you've created that superiority in here. And if players then come in to the interior from these areas, you're going to see players like Sterling drop into these kind of positions, or De Bruyne come and drop into these positions, almost drop out of it, and ask the question, are you going to come with me? If not, I'll create a spare player. If this person comes with me, we've fractured the back line and system, and we've created supremacy in these little openings to play in behind the lines of pressure. And in build up, you know, if the opposition then want to suddenly apply much more pressure up here and try and get 2, 3, 4 players or even 5 players pressing in your third, you'll see first of all that they'll drop both central midfielders in, try and create a 4 versus 3 numerical and structural supremacy where they can play in between the lines. So you can see here, playing it in here, at this point here, you can argue it sort of 3 versus 2. So therefore, you can play this pass and break that line of pressure. If this person comes in, yeah, of course, but if this player was pressing high, and it was 3 versus 3 almost, but you've still got positional supremacy because you've got an out there with which to bypass the 2 first and second line of pressure and find a spare player. If both players do come in, you'll see this is where they use the range, where they've got maximum width on both these sides, and players up here where the goalkeeper can play straight over the press or look into David Silva, because there's a lot more space in these open areas where these two might come and drop in and try and get that ball more into feet. And again, if these players suddenly start to come in, you'll start to see that scenario there.